Welcome everyone to the Food City 500. It's of course Steve Burns in Stand for Cancer Race Reviewer here. So today I'm going to recap the race that lasted a total of 9 hours right here from the time it started to the time it ended, or the time that it was scheduled to start. Yeah, that's the right way to put it. Here, and we're going to have a lot to talk about here. Don't be surprised if you're watching this live. Don't be surprised if this goes over 40 minutes. I have a feeling it will. Right here, but let's get into what happened right here before the race started. Digital dashboards were being tested at Kentucky Speedway, and these will be in full use in 2016. But NASCAR plans to have these on every car by the time August rolls around here. And as far as the digital dashboards, I felt like that whether they are scheduled to come in 2016 or 2020, digital dashboards to me is something that was going to come to NASCAR eventually, and I feel like, to me, I don't see the problem with that. I think the digital dashboards can actually send more information to the spotters and the crew chiefs, which could help work out issues. I don't exactly know how the new digital dashboards are going to work, but I think they'll be fine. There seems to be a lot of mixed opinions on some forums that I've been looking at over here, and then also one of the other big media headlines was that Kyle Busch addressed the media on Wednesday for the first time since his leg injury at Daytona in the Xfinity race. We're here, and while there is still no exact date, Kyle Busch I think Kyle Busch said, or many people have been saying that the recovery has been going at a faster rate than expected, which is a good thing right here. But there still seems to be mixed opinions on when will Kyle Busch come back? Should Kyle Busch sit out? And Steph, I feel like, to me, in my opinion, I think Kyle Busch will come back later this year, because I feel like that if he set out the entire 2015 season, I think it would hurt Joe Gibbs. I think it would just kind of hurt NASCAR a little bit if Kyle Busch stayed out for that long. And I think some people are thinking that Kyle Busch is going to do when Kyle Busch comes back. If Kyle Busch came back later this year, he's gonna perform exactly the same way when Hamlin got his injury in 2013 and when Stewart got his injury in 2013 and then came back 2014, which would be not performing up to par. But I think it'll be interesting. I think Kyle Busch will come back sometime in July or August. That's my prediction here. And then also, Ryan Newman's penalty was appealed with a point reduction from 75 to 50. That made him go from 24 to 21 points, and a $125,000 to a $75,000 fine. But the suspension stand, which I believe means that the two people who were tampering with the tires and Luke Lambert were gone, but I don't exactly know about Luke Lambert. I can't remember. And also, safer barriers, a couple weeks ago, safer barriers were installed everywhere on the outside wall, making Bristol the second track, first being Iowa, to have safer barriers installed on every wall on the outside right here. And I gotta say, watching the race and watching the practices and the qualifying and the race, having that safer barrier be on French stretch actually made the track, to me, in my opinion, look a little bit more natural. Okay, I just had to check something very quickly right here. But anyway, now let's get into Friday and Saturday. Casey Kane wins practice number 1, and the Matt Kenseth grabbed his first pole right here and his 6th at Bristol. And then we had big names scattering all across the field, from Matt Kenseth winning the pole to Clint Boyer, I think, starting in 37th position right here. And there was also some surprises right here. Matt DiBenedetto, McDowell, and Castle all qualified inside the top 24 here. Then moving on to Saturday right here, Casey Kane dominates the second practice, and Kurt Busch wins the final practice here. And in Saturday's practice, there were several drivers who hit the wall. And actually, if we go back to Friday, there were several loose cars like Jimmy Johnson, and there were cars like Biffle who actually spun right here. So just simply a lot of ill-handling cars on Friday and Saturday. And some of this would carry over into Sunday, but for the most part, most teams got their ill-handling cars that they had in Friday and Saturday fixed by the time Sunday rolled around here. And speaking of Sunday, when I checked the weather yesterday, it's at 100% chance of rain. and it said that this morning right here, 100% chance of rain right here, and then now we're gonna go into the race right here. So we had an hour and 18-minute delay before the race even started. And if you remember, last year's race, there was a long rain delay before the race started. Then they got the race going, but then there was another rain delay, which lasted several more hours. Then they had to go to Fox Sports 1, and then they got most of the race done, and then the race was shortened with a green white checkered remaining right here. So, and it looked like that we were pretty much in for that this weekend here. But I gotta say, Bristol just cannot seem to catch a break in terms of weather, because when I think about the past decade, um, which has had 10 spring races, and this race is included, eight out of the 10 races have had cloudy conditions, and when you have cloudy conditions, they'll pretty much for the most part be a chance of rain. So Bristol in the spring just can't seem to catch a break. The summer Bristol races don't seem to have any threats of weather at all as far as the Spring Cup series, but for some reason in the spring it's just not like that right here. But I think I know like I think many fans thought that moving the race from March to April was to prevent rain showers, but to me, I think honestly it was possibly because April just has better wet weather in general, and it's a lot more warmer. So for example, last year when it was in March, with that amount of rain, it probably would have. There's a good chance it was cold out there. So having the race in April, it just made it a little bit more warmer. But to me, I just feel like you could have the race in February, or you could have the race in June. I feel like it really does not matter too much. Sometimes there's just gonna be rain right here, and hopefully next year we can sort of get back on the routes and have a race under the sunlight, which hasn't happened since 2009 as far as spring races go, and have a race actually end under the day, because the thing is, because this race marked the 4th consecutive Bristol race to end under the nighttime, which I kind of find a little insane. But anyway, getting my water right there. So let's begin this here. Matt Kenseth, the pole center, chooses the outside, and that gets in the lead. But however, Kevin Harvick here takes the lead on lap 9 here. And then a couple laps later, Kevin Harvick had over a second leader here. And then by lap 18, this is where Harvick started to catch lap traffic right here. Then caution number 1 here. Third and fourth place drivers, Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Brad exiting turn number 4, I want to say, was passing a lap car on the high side here, whereas the car got loose exiting turn number 4 here, and Logano had nowhere to go. Both drivers hitting the inside wall on the front stretch here, thus ruining their days. And actually, when Keselowski was interviewed, he actually said that the rain might have been a factor on why his car got loose, and that could be a point, because then the thing is, right as soon as the caution came out, rain came out here, and so red flag came out for rain, and this rain delay would last a total of 3 hours and 58 minutes here, and the race would go from Fox to Fox Sports 1, just like it did a year ago. So at this point, we were on pace to repeat exactly what happened last year. But I'm looking at my notes here. Oh yeah, also in the rain delay, 33 drivers were actually interviewed, which I believe is possibly the most I've ever seen in a rain delay. It may be the most ever. I'm not exactly sure, but it was definitely fine. I think the only thing I like about interviews during the rain delay is that sometimes you get to see humorous interviews right here, and there were a couple of those. So like I said, a 3 hour and 58 minute red flag right here, and then on Fox Sports 1 at around 6:45. Around 6:45 p.m. Eastern time. The engines fired up once again right here, and we started to go back racing here. But then all of a sudden, breaking news are here. Denny Hamlin reports to tells Joe Gibbs, who later told Fox Sports 1 that Denny Hamlin has neck spasms here. And he actually admitted that this happened during that short, 18 lap green flag run right there as that happened. And so in that case, he has a job. And thus Eric Jones filling in for the car. So technically, Eric Jones made his Sprint Series debut here today. And when I saw that, I was definitely shocked, and I was kind of like, "What a plot twist!" I think Denny Hamlin was running fifth right here, so it was definitely surprising. But hopefully, Denny Hamlin gets soon. But I think also Denny Hamlin decided to sit it out the rest of the race just because Hamlin has nothing to lose. I mean, he's already in the chase right here. But anyway, so Eric Jones is in the 11 car, and so this race was a huge learning experience for Eric Jones, who rumors have been saying that Eric Jones might be in this car by Kansas or sometime very soon. Anyway, and then lap 35 over here, the restart here. And then we look at here, and then we saw drivers like Kurt Busch here and Carl Edwards get themselves inside the top 5 were here. And then there was actually this interesting report that Carl Edwards said to his crew chief, saying that Matt Kenseth who was in third and Carl Edwards was leaking something right here. But anyway, I gotta move on here. Harvick starts lapping cars once again here, and one of the first cars that went a lap down was Eric Jones in the 11 right here. And then one thing that was noticed is that once Eric Jones got lapped and started following the lap cars, he actually was able to pick up the pace, which shows that which can show how fast of a learner Eric Jones is, and how it's like once Eric Jones gets teach a few things, it will help him become a good driver in the future once he starts riding in the Cup Series right here. But anyway, and then we had a competition caution right here on lap 60. And that'll be the second caution of the day. It was originally supposed to be held on lap 50, but because of the long rain delay, it got pushed 10 laps later. Pit stops, and then Matt Kenseth wins the battle, but I don't think this got the lead, because the thing is, Greg Biffle and Sam Marsh Jr. 1 and 2 stayed out here. But right away here, restart lap 69. Kurt Busch got the leader here. 1 lap later, he got the lead away from Biffle. And then right here, it was also. And right around here, it was also reported that Tony Gibson who has kidney stones, had to sit it out here. He went to the hospital, and then somebody named John Kloshmir, I don't know how you say that last name right here, was the replacement of crew chief right here for Kurt Busch right here, and he got a lot of airtime as well. And then by the time we got to lap 100 here, there were a lot of close calls here, including Kevin Harvick, who was in second at the time, almost getting clipped trying to make a clear pass on Michael McDowell here. And then Dale Jr. came down the road after having a flat tire contact with Casey Kane, and these two drivers were running out, I want to say, outside the top 10. Thus, that would ruin Jr.'s day. He would never really ever get himself back on the lead lapper here. Lap 109 here, a near miss from Landon Castle here as he hit the wall or something. Tried to go from the high line to the low line, and there were about, I want to say, maybe like 10, 15 cars who could have hit him, but thankfully no one did here. And then lap 121, Dale Jr.'s day gets even worse right here when it comes down again, possibly because of the damage he got from Casey Kane, which might have resulted in another flat tire, but I don't exactly remember. Kevin Harvick takes the lead again from Kurt Busch because he got hold of lap traffic right here, which commonly happens at Bristol. Biffle, who stayed out, out of the two, Biffle and Hornish, Biffle benefited the most here, because the thing is, 70 laps after the restart, he was still inside the top 10 right here. And by lap 150, Harvick and Busch were a couple seconds ahead of drivers like Edwards and Kenseth, and it looked like at this point it was going to be a Harvick versus Kurt Busch show once again, just like it was at Auto Club right here. And lap 159 right here, Montrix Jr., who I want to say was also outside the top 10, reported a vibration and came down to the road right here, and that would really ruin his day here. And then lap 161 here, Kurt Busch gets the lead back right here, and then Greg Biffle comes up here just because he did not pit during that competition cautioner here, went a couple laps down, 170, not, wait a second, I went too far ahead. Caution number 3 here on lap 168, reports of wire in turn 2 leaking from the wall, which was kind of one of the most interesting cautions. I mean, I think it's happened before, or something else similar like that has happened, but I think to me that was the weirdest caution of the night right here. And then we have pit stops right here. We're probably going the race off pit road. Then we have restart here, lap 176. Harvick, and then by lap 109, Harvick had over a second leader here. And then lap 205 right here, Jeff Gordon, who was currently in 7th at the time, came down pit road because of a loose wheel, which later on was also the reason why Mark Truex Jr. came down pit road too. It was for the exact same reason. And then we're here, lap 218. This is when Kenseth, this was kind of the first time where we saw Kenseth really have a car that could challenge, Harvick, because the thing is, Kenseth was the pole singer, but he lost lead early and never really challenged Harvick at that point. But this was the first time that we saw Kenseth really challenge, really be able to show that, hey, he has a fast car too that can win this thing. Right here, and Kenseth almost did it right here, but then eventually he would get passed by Carl Edwards right here for second on lap 145, and then by lap 154, Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards were battling for the leader here. Carl Edwards got the leader here a couple laps later. Then caution number 4 here for a couple of small showers in the air. Then pit stops are here, and then we had a red flag, and then by the time the red flag first played, the official said it wouldn't take very long. And then there was a 14-minute flagger here, and then we had restart here on lap 270 here. But then eventually entering turns 3 and 4. Man, guess I cannot talk today. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson, 3rd and 4th place, get together here. And while Kurt Busch goes for a spin, Johnson hits the outside wall right here with the right rear. Kurt Busch goes for a spin. Patrick and Buescher get some damage. Sam Horse Jr. also spins, and so does, I forget who's in the 77 car. I think it's Alex Bowman. Yes, it is. I want to say right here. And I don't really remember exactly what happened. It might have just simply been because I think the reason why Kurt Busch got spun, because the thing is, Kurt Busch was on the inside, Jimmy Johnson was on the high side right here. And Kurt Busch, maybe, I think out of all the crashes, I think that's the crash I would like to see the replay again, because maybe Johnson pinched, because maybe Johnson pinched Kurt Busch, but when I first saw it, and as far as I can remember, I think Kurt Busch might have spun just simply because they had that rain. It's because that it was a green racetrack right here. But who knows? I think I'll have to see the replay again. Maybe once NASCAR uploads the video to YouTube. Yes. And while didn't hurt Kurt Busch, Johnson was significantly damaged here in the right rear here. He had to come down pit road, but Johnson came down pit road when the pit road was closed, which means Johnson had to restart at the tail end of the line right here. Restart lap 292 right here, and then Mark Truex Jr. has a flat tire a couple laps later, but that didn't bring out caution. Kenseth passes Harvick for second right here, and remember, by this point, Carl Edwards is still the leader. And then right here, by lap 300, we saw some surprises right here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 4th, and Justin Allgaier in 6th right here. And these are actually 2 drivers that, and when this happened, I was actually very excited because these are 2 drivers that I've known since the beginning. And I mean, my first full NASCAR season was 2008, and that's when these 2 drivers were racing for a championship in the ARCA series. And I just, remember those moments. Sweet memories right here. And so because of that, I'm actually a fan of both these drivers right here, and it was great to see 2 underdog drivers finally have good runs right here. And then by lap 310 right here, sort of a possibly a scary moment for Carl Edwards right here. For Carl Edwards fans, because he reported a vibration right here, but that vibration would be fixed right here because 1 lap later, lap 311 right here, Jimmy Johnson, jet burn spin, turns 1-2. Harvick, who was in 3rd place, and Reagan, who was in 27th place, was involved. What happened was that Johnson thinks that Johnson was trying to get Johnson was trying to get through the field, but he was also trying to not get lapped right here because the leaders were actually right behind him. And Johnson thinks that Jeff Burton was getting in his way. Jeff Burton thinks that Johnson got a little higher right here, which caused him to turn into Burton here. So definitely mixed opinions, and I'm sure that the fans have mixed opinions on this as well. Oh, but to me, I think I would just consider it, a racing accident here. I don't think there's really, anyone that I think you could really like point your finger and be like, it was your fault. I just don't think that at all right here. But obviously, the biggest loser in this was Kevin Harker here. He was running in third place right here, and when they went on board with him, Kevin Harker was just trying to avoid the crasher here. It kind of reminded me last year when Matt Kenseth was the leader and Timmy Hill ran into the back of him, just simply because Kenseth was trying to avoid the accident right in front of him right here. That's what it reminded me of right here. So Harvick and then Kevin Harvick went to the garage here, and then by this point, it was absolutely certain that all three drivers who had top 10 finishes in all 7 races were not going to get top 10s later today, which shows how Bristol can definitely be a race that can break up your streaks right here. But I saw this coming days before the race. And then by lap 321 right here, still under caution, all drivers in the top 15 on the lead lap right here had not won a race, indicating that we were pretty much for surely going to have a new winner here. Restart lap 325 right here. And then a couple laps later, Casey Kane, who hasn't been talked about, who wasn't talked about very much that day, took second away from Kenseth. Then 15 laps later, lap 344 here, caution number 7 here for debris. Pit stops right here. McMurray takes 2 tires right here and wins the battle up pit road. But however, drivers like Larson, Almirola, Boyer, Newman, Paul Menard, and 14 stay out right here. And for drivers like Larson and Newman, this would actually be a good call. This would actually be a good call that would stick with them for the rest of the race here. And then we have restart here on lap 350 with Larson able to get the leader here. Lap 365 over here. Larson had over a 3-second leader here, and it looked like Larson might actually get his first career winner here. But then for Larson fans, another scary moment here on caution right when Landon Cassill accidentally gets turned by Larson and hits the wall extremely hard for Bristol. And the silver barrier actually got bent a little bit, which some NASCAR fans, which I'm sure some NASCAR fans thought that might lead to another red flag right here. What happened was that here's what I saw when I look at the replay right here. Jeff Burton was going from a high side to a low side just simply because Jeff Burton had a slow car right here, and Landon Cassill had to check up, and Larson just happened to be right behind him right here. And I definitely felt bad for Landon Cassill because, like Stenhouse and Allgaier, I've been watching this driver. I've been watching this driver since 2008, and so because of that, I'm also a fan of Cassill here. So that was sad. So that was such a shame here. And then we heard restart here at lap 381 here, and then we saw Kenseth get into second right here. And by lap 400, Kenseth was able to catch Larson here, and then we saw Kurt Busch finally, after spinning and getting a penalty, actually able to get himself into the top 3 right here. But then Larson, who didn't pit when drivers like McMurray, Kenseth, and Edwards pitted, he had to come down pit road because he didn't right here. And then Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch right here were side by side by lap 443 right here. 445, Kurt Busch takes the lead away right here. And then lap 473 right here, caution number 9 when Jamie McMurray blows the tire. I think he was running inside the top 5 or 10. Josh Wise, who just happened to be right behind him, got collected when he hit the back of McMurray. Clint Boyer, who was right behind us, also got collected. I'm trying to think of, let's see, who else got collected. Oh yeah, Michael McDowell and David Patrick were also collected in this crash right here. So once again, another multi-car crash right here. And then 477 here, we saw possibly the most questionable decision of the entire race. Kurt Busch, he is the leader with 33 laps to go right here. Is the only driver who decides to come down pit road here. The only driver here. But however, he was able to restart six when there was like 18 cars on the lead lap. And the reason why is because when you come down to the pit road, there's a line that goes all the way from the inside wall to the outside wall that exits pit road, and and in this case, since it was a caution, if you can get to that line before other cars on the lead up get there, you'll restart in front of those lead up cars here, which is why Kurt Busch restarted 6th and not 18th right here. But to me, I kind of feel like that was the most questionable decision. I think the reason why Kurt Busch did it for two reasons. I think the 41 team thought more drivers might come down the pit road because the thing is, all the drivers on the lead lap, or the most of the drivers on the lead lap for the most part, it was going to be really, really close if they were going to make it. I think Kurt Busch thought, you know what, we're not going to make it. I'm assuming other drivers will kind of pit road too. Let's just come down pit road, get the fresh tires right here. But to me, I kind of feel like that move really cost them the race. And then now let's get into what happened after that right here when we have a restart here on lap 482. Matt Kenseth was the leader here. 1 lap later, caution number 10 of the here comes out when on the back straightaway trying to clear a wide situation. Casey Kane on the high side, Tony Stewart in the middle, AJ Allmendinger on the bottom. I think this was a battle for, I want to say, maybe around like 8th or so. Kane almost cleared Stewart right here, but by the time they exited turn 2 right here, everyone just got a little too close to here when Kane gets pinched by Tony Stewart here, causing him to go down into Allmendinger here. Both those drivers hit the inside wall on the back stretcher here. Then they come back onto traffic right here, collect Casey Mears. They collect Casey Mears right here. Mark Jarrett was also collected. Biff Patrick also suffered damage as well, even though their names were not placed on the list of cars involved on TV right here. And by this point right here, I was on weather.com right here looking at Bristol, Tennessee right here. And the thing is, rain was coming right here, and it was going to be extremely close. And what I saw is it was going to be pouring by the time they got to lap 500 right here. So at this point, I was like, okay, if they have more cautions, then the race is going to end right here. Restart lap 493 here. Kenseth gets a great restart here and just pulls away from the pack. He looks like he is definitely going to win right here. However, 2 laps later here, a battle for second right here. Gordon tries to get around Carl Edwards right here, and then Carl Edwards right here. He gets loose in turns 1, 2, goes up the racetrack right here, hits the wall. Kurt Busch right here, running forward, hits the back of right here, and that results in another multi-car accident right here. Paul Menard, just an Algar, inside the top 10, spin on the back straightaway right here. Ricky Stone's steering got damaged in the rear, and Horsch also spun right here. And then with lap 500 here, there was rain and fog on the racetrack right here. But before I get into that, when I saw that crash, and I felt really sad for Carl Edwards because I felt like this was the first race where Carl Edwards actually had a winning car here, and it just sucked to see that finish. And as far as Kurt Busch here, he's had, when I think back to all the races he's been in since he was released from suspension right here: Phoenix, All Club, Martinsville, Texas, and Bristol right here. He has in all these races he had winning cars at some point in those races. And when I think about it here, 5 races he's lost the race, but he has lost the race 5 different ways here. And when I look at that right there, something makes me think that Kurt Busch, he might be able to race his way in on points right here, which if Kurt Busch can continue to perform like that, he will definitely be in the top 16, but but realizing that he's lost five races 5 different ways, something tells me that he may not actually ever be able to win this year. I mean, I think Kurt Busch will get a win, but a little I'm just a little curious if he will get it. And if he doesn't get it, he'll get his win on points, which I feel like he will, unless he somehow falls apart in the next during these next couple races or here. But it'll just be interesting to see. And I feel like out of the other drivers that got involved, I think Palmer took the bigger hit. I will look here. Yeah, I feel like Palmer he was going to get a top 10 finish if that didn't happen right here. And then what happened 1 year ago, where we had rain come down here as they were going to have a green one checker here, but the race was technically, I wouldn't say the race was shortened, but the race definitely stopped. The race definitely stopped. The race was definitely cut short. How can I describe it here? Okay, last year I think they got to lap 500 or past there here, but there was a green white checker here. So technically, the race was shortened and they still had some laps that were scheduled to be completed under green. Okay, yeah, that's the road. That's the better way to play right here. And so it looked like at this point right here, we were going to exactly do what we did last year here. But however, the drivers came down to pit road here, and actually just before that, Austin Dillon, who was running third place here, ran out of gas, so he came down to pit road here, which was disappointing to see, just simply because of Austin Dillon. Just simply because Austin Dillon would had gotten his best finish if that didn't happen. So that sucked right here. And then by lap 506 are here. NASCAR calls everyone down to pit road here. But here's the thing though, instead of ending the race, they decide, do you know what? Even though there's 2 laps left, we're gonna finish this race here. And so they had the generators out, and when this happened, I was like, I can't believe it. It's only going to last 30 seconds here, but I like it. But I give NASCAR props for wanting to be able to complete this race from here. And the storm cell that was passing by, it was indeed a storm cell that I would say was bigger than the cell that hit the racetrack around halfway, or so. But I was just surprised. I was just surprised and was kind of losing my mind by the fact of how it's like NASCAR. How NASCAR was going to be sure that the final 2 laps of the race finished on yellow right here, and I give NASCAR, and I give 2 thumbs up to NASCAR because I felt like it kind of would have been just a little disappointing to see the race get shortened when there was just 2 laps left. I'm glad that, but I feel like the reason why NASCAR didn't do it this year, unlike last year, was just because last year the rain was coming down harder last year, and the storm cell was huge. Whereas this storm cell, the rain wasn't coming down as heavy, and it was small enough to where it was like, okay, we can get these cars back on the track in about 20 minutes or here. But anyway, you're here. So after that, I want to say maybe 10+ minute red flag right here. 5:07 here. The caution flag was waved right here. And then right here, on lap 511, our first green one checker attempt right here. Matt Kenseth in first, Gordon in second, Newman in third, Johnson in fourth right here. And I say right there, Johnson right here. Johnson, after getting involved in 2 crashes right here, and struggling around 13th for about 100+ laps, was actually back inside the top 5 right here. And then right here, the green one check right here, green flag is waved. It looked like Gordon was somewhat trying to set himself up to get a good restart right here, but it just didn't really work right here, just simply because Gordon was on the bottom. And under this new Bristol, the high line the line where you want to be right here. So Kenseth took off right here, and then Johnson was actually able to clear Gordon on in turn two right here, which means by the time they took the white, Jimmy Johnson right here was in second place. And for a short moment, I thought to myself, I think it would be totally crazy if Johnson would have won the race after all that he's been through, not only on Friday and Saturday, but tonight. I think if Johnson won, I think I would have lost my mind. I'll just stay right here. But anyway, white flag right here. Kenseth was able to hold up Johnson here, and Matt Kenseth wins the race right here. His first win of 2015 right here, and his first win in I think 51 races dating back to New Hampshire in 2013, the Chase race to be exact. Right here, this is his fourth win at Bristol right here, making it the most out of all the tracks that he's won at, I believe. Right here, and I guess for some reason, just because it was a story worth mentioning, Johnson finished second after wrecking twice. Right here. Anyway, so that was the race right here, and my personal thoughts on the race. As it says down in the description, the race was definitely eventful. I will say that. And I feel like, it will really take me a couple days to really, to really process how this race, my full opinion on it. But I feel like, it was one of, if not the best race so far this year. I kind of, when I look at the first 8 races are here, I think if I were to arrange them from greatest to second greatest, I think Bristol would be right there, and then I would put Odd Club, Texas, Daytona, then maybe Phoenix, Las Vegas. No, wait a second. Bristol, Odd Club, Atlanta, Texas, Daytona, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Martinsville. Yeah, so that's how I would rate. So that's how I would rate the top 8 races right here in terms of races that I liked here. So yeah, so I think overall it was a really good race. I enjoy this race a lot more than what I expected to, mainly because I do not like races at all when they are interrupted by a rant at some point in the race, whether it's before the race starts or in the middle of the race. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the Bristol race here. And as I do every single race review, I'm going to recap where everyone finished. Anyway, so here we go here. Matt Kenseth wins the race here. Jimmy Johnson finished second. Gordon finished third. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fourth. Ryan Newman fifth. Stewart sixth. Larson seventh. Eighth was Justin Allgaier. Ninth was Dan Patrick. 10th was Austin Dillon. Paul Menard. Boyer, Almirola, McMurray, Kerbush, Jr., Moffitt, Gillen, Hornish Jr., Alex Boone, all finished 11 through 20 for here. 21st was Matt DiBenedetto right here. 22nd was Michael McDowell. 23rd was Michael Nett. 24th, Carl Edwards. 25th, Chris Buescher. Even though it says Denny Hamlin on the screen I'm looking at here, it was really Eric Jones. Eric Jones finishes 20th, Mark Jr. 29th, Greg Biffle 30th, Mike Bliss 31st, JJ LA 32nd right here, Alex Kennedy 33rd, AJ Allmendinger finished 44th, Brett Keselowski 35th, 36th, Casey Mears 37th, Casey Kane 38th, Kevin Harvick 39th, Josh Wise, Logano finished 40th, 41st was Reagan, 42nd was Jeb Burton, 43rd was Lancaster right here. And when I look at this fishing order here, I guess this will be a new thing. I'll mention it. I did it. I want to say I did this last week at Texas right here, but I'll just do it here. When I look at these surprises right here and shout-outs, I gotta first give my shout-out. I gotta give Stenhouse Jr., Tony Stewart, Larson, Allgaier, Patrick, Austin Dillon. I give these drivers, my shout-outs. All these drivers finished inside the top 10 right here. And as far as other drivers, I'm also going to give shout-outs right here to Brett Moffitt, who finished 17th right here. Um, Matt DeBed down right here. He qualified 22nd right here, and he finished 21st. And while mid pack isn't exactly the best place for that driver and for that team, that right there is definitely an accomplishment right there. And I guess and for making an unexpected debut, filling in for a driver right here, Eric Jones to finish 26th at one of the toughest tracks here, and also having to deal with a steering wheel that he reported was not to his liking and was actually hurting his arms. I give Eric Jones props to that. You know, I think it'll be interesting to see how Eric Jones does at other tracks though, because the thing is, Bristol is a one of a kind track, and you can't really take a lot from Bristol into other tracks here. Anyway, now I mentioned my surprise shout out. Now I gotta tell you my disappointments in here. I was definitely disappointed in Logano and Keselowski here. I think that's kind of two of the obvious ones here. AJ Allmendinger, he kind of made me sad right here as well. He finished 34. Keselowski, 35th. Logano 44 here. Kevin Harker here, also another sad disappointment here. 38th finish. His worst finish since Martinsville in the fall. As far as our drivers that I thought I expected to do much better here, Darren Reagan finished 41st here. I mean, Reagan was 27th when he got involved in the crasher here, but I really expected a lot more from Darren Reagan because the thing is, his teammates Matt Kenseth and Carl Oates were doing good, and Hamlin was doing good until he had that neck problem. But I was really expecting a lot more from Darren Reagan because of the equipment he was in, because at the track. I mean, he won an Xfinity race here in 2009 in August. And that was a night race just like this one right here for the most part. I expected more from David Reagan here, and I feel like, so I feel like those are my disappointments right there, or drivers that I was sad to see go here. And I guess the last thing, or second last thing I'll touch on here is the point standings. The top 3 points. Well, it's the way NASCAR and Fox does it is that the thing is they always have the drivers who win first be like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are here. But the way it's shown here on NASCAR.com, the top 3, if there was no win in and Harvick, Logano, and Truex Jr., even though they all have bad days, they still are 1, 2, and 3 right here. And when I look at the drivers who haven't won right here, Gordon was one of the biggest movers in points. He won from 13th to 9th right here. Patrick was also a big mover here. She went from 17th to 13th right here, and she finished 9th right here. And once again, another tough tracker here. Don't count on Patrick. I think Patrick could realistically get herself into the chase, and she could, don't say yet that Patrick's only shot at winning races are at the Daytona Talladega. She might sneak her way into a win. You never know. Right here, Ryan Newman finally back in the top 16. And I guess those are some of the biggest movers, in this point stands here. As far as big losers right here, David Reagan, he went from 10th to 18th right here. He is definitely the biggest loser inside the top 20 in points right here. And after seeing that makes me think, yeah, he might actually not get into the chase based on points. It looks like at this point, Reagan is going to have to win here. Casey Mears was also a big loser. He went from 15th to 19th. So now he's also outside the top 16 right here in points. And the other big losers are here. Come on, page, load. Denny Hamlin, and the reason why Denny Hamlin, because Hamlin started the race, he still gets the points. Hamlin lost three spots, going from 18th to 11th points here, but because he has a win, that doesn't really matter. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Anyway, next week, this is the final topic I'm going to cover here. Next week here is at Richmond right here. Richmond, and I gotta say here, before I get more into the race, I gotta say, in my opinion, Richmond is my second least favorite track. It's also, in my opinion, the second worst track. And I've had this in my head really after last year's Fest. I mean, I've been watching NASCAR since the fall of 2007, and if you remember last year's fall race in the Chase, where like nothing happened, where like nothing happened at all. Like seriously, nothing happened in the race at all. You know, so you know, so I feel like to me, in my opinion, I think we could see an exciting race. Like if you remember last year, there was a very intense battle between Keselowski, Kenseth, Logano, and Gordon right here, which Logano eventually won that race right here. But to me, I just don't really know what it is about Richmond. It's just not. I just can't really ever remember an exciting race, to my taste, at least. Here, and as far as a winner, I unfortunately don't have the driver averages right here on my screen. But if I had to pick a driver, I think it's definitely. I think we're definitely going to see. I don't know. Something tells me. Oh well, something tells me Kevin Harvick is going Saturday night here, and Harvick I think has won at Richmond a couple times. I think at least two, maybe three. But anyway, that's really all I have to say for today. I hope you enjoyed this first review, whether you're watching this live or in the time after this was published right here. So I just want to thank you for watching here. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.